sky.
The following program, The Russ Belville Show, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate to the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate any illegal activity and encourage all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers on The Russ Belville Show are their own, and The Russ Belville Show cannot be held legally responsible for their validity or reliability. Viewer discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization
And I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
to the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Yeah, I hear you had a question for me.
Now, here's your host, Radical Russ Belville.
Good day, Tokers and Tokats, and welcome. We made it to the weekend once again. It's Friday, February 8th, 2013, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. It's also Gretchen's birthday. Happy birthday, Gretchen. Anyway, welcome to the show. It's going to be a little crazy today because we got all sorts of breaking news we've got to get to. The Michigan State Supreme Court has declared that not only are marijuana dispensaries illegal, but they got, well, I'll save it for the headlines. Stick around for the headlines after this first break. We'll tell you what the Michigan Supreme Court has decided that is going to devastate the Michigan medical marijuana program. Also on today's show, we've got a behind the headlines that's pretty shocking. A case in Seattle, Washington, where a medical marijuana user came down with a type of a fungal pneumonia, and then his quest to try to get some help about the situation. It'll really shock you, some of the twists and turns this one goes through. That's coming up in Behind the Headlines. Today's show is also Rockin' Friday, and that means Herb Thrasher's going to be calling in from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. He has got Romero, a new track from Romero called Take the Potion off their latest album, and he's going to be previewing the fact that Jeff from the band Romero is going to be calling in live to the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour tonight, 8 o'clock Pacific time. If you like your rock, you like your metal, you got to tune in. Join us at 8 o'clock live here on 420radio.org. Also on today's show at 5:30, we would normally be having our High Times preview with Dave Bienenstock, but we've got some breaking news to bring you, more breaking news, and that is that the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup for Los Angeles that was going to be held at the LA Center Studios has been moved to the Glendale Studios in Glendale, California, just a little bit west of Los Angeles. So they're all busy. I tried to get a hold of anybody I could from High Times. Between the blizzard that snowed in New York and the guys on the West Coast scrambling to get Glendale all put together, I got nobody from High Times to talk to you today, but we do have some preview material for you. We've got some highlights from the 25th Cannabis Cup in Amsterdam, also a couple of new videos from High Times TV that are pretty damn funny. And then we'll end the show with a radical rant. I got an interesting one for you tonight. I am going to make the case for corporate marijuana. This will be fun. We'll talk about that too in hour 2, so stick around. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
California is the center of marijuana consciousness. That's why High Times Magazine is returning to the Golden State for our second High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in Los Angeles. That's right. Come to LA Center Studios on February 16th and 17th for this high-flying event. Meet the medical cannabis industry, visit our extra special medicating area, and sample the best cannabis products of Southern California. There'll be cultivation seminars and presentations about getting pot legalized, not just in California, but everywhere. Be there on Saturday evening when we host a Rock'em Sock'em concert with surprise musical guests. And don't forget Sunday night and the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup Awards when we honor the best sativa, best indica, best hybrid, best concentrate, and best edibles of the LA medical cannabis scene. Plus, we present the High Times Lifetime Achievement Award to marijuana superstar Tommy Chong. Come to the City of the Angels on February 16th and 17th for a High Times Cannabis Celebration. Go to medcancup.com for details. Live the high life. Be proud of who you are. Be part of the growing cannabis community.
Now it's time for your 420 Radio News for Friday, February 8th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Michigan's Supreme Court declares medical pot dispensaries are not allowed. This from MichiganRadio.org. The Michigan Supreme Court says users of medical marijuana can't buy it at pot shops. The 4-1 decision Friday is the most significant court ruling since voters approved marijuana for certain illnesses in 2008. It means the state's 126,000 approved users must grow their own pot or have a state-licensed caregiver grow it for them. The case involves a Mount Pleasant dispensary that allowed medical marijuana users to sell pot to each other. Owners took as much as a 20% cut of each sale. Michigan Supreme Court Chief Justice Robert Young Jr. and Justices Markman, Kelly, and Zara ruled that the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act of 2008 only protects registered caregivers and their patients. The justices also ruled patient-to-patient transfers of medical marijuana are not legal under the voter-approved law, appearing to contradict a Court of Appeals decision last week that concluded there's nothing illegal about a medical marijuana user providing a small amount of pot to another registered user at no cost. Although it did so for a different reason than the one we articulate, the Court of Appeals, according to the Supreme Court's opinion, reached the correct conclusion that defendants are not entitled to operate a business that facilitates patient-to-patient sales of marijuana. Because the business model of defendants' dispensary relies entirely on transactions that do not comply with the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, defendants are operating their business in, quote, a building used for the unlawful keeping, for sale, or furnishing of any controlled substance, end quote. And plaintiff is entitled to an injunction enjoining the continued operation of the business because it is a public nuisance. Idaho Senate advances measure opposing marijuana from KTVB.com. Idaho legislators are pushing back against measures in western states where voters recently relaxed marijuana laws. The Senate's State Affairs Committee unanimously voted in favor Friday of a resolution opposing marijuana use in any form. The resolution also urges President Barack Obama and the Justice Department to enforce existing federal marijuana laws. Republican Senator Chuck Winder of Boise said the statement is a response to the growing acceptance of marijuana use in neighboring states. Winder said law enforcement along Idaho's western border are dealing with an influx of drug trafficking after Washington voters approved of recreational use and the medical use of marijuana in Oregon and Montana. Winder says he hopes the federal government takes steps to oppose Washington's law and help states battle illegal trafficking of the drug. Marijuana best treatment for stress disorder, Oregon lawmakers told, from the Oregonian. Marijuana is not just the best drug, it's the only drug that consistently helps people suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, a parade of doctors, researchers, and veterans told a panel of lawmakers Thursday. At issue is Senate Bill 281, which would add PTSD, as it's commonly called, to the list of qualifying conditions for medical marijuana use in Oregon. Doctors have found that treating PTSD patients with marijuana, a relatively inexpensive and non-toxic drug, has helped replace antipsychotic medication and alcohol as a way to cope. The Senate Health and Human Services Committee held a hearing on the bill to get clinical advice. The bill next goes to the Senate Judiciary Committee for legal questions. Vancouver Marijuana Forum draws 400, many eager for a chance to go legal, from the Oregonian. A group of 400 cheering, clapping pot farmers, shopkeepers, curiosity seekers, cops, and medical marijuana experts packed Geyser Hall at Clark College Thursday night to help shape policy for one of the nation's first recreational pot laws. The state estimates a retail price of $12 a gram, which many growers said is an unreasonably low estimate. The state expects stores to move about 187,000 pounds per year, creating a $2 billion industry. The law must be implemented by December. And the Discovery Channel is aiming to expose the state's dark side in a new series called Pot Cops, chronicling the marijuana crackdown. This from FoxNews.com, which follows a drug enforcement unit in Humboldt County, California, who work to bring down both cartels and the average Joe growers operating in the area. The new series Pot Cops premieres Wednesday, February 20th at 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific Time on the Discovery Channel. And that's your 420 Radio News for Friday, February 8th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines in a story in Seattle, Washington, of a man who contracted a fungal pneumonia and then tried to follow up on the marijuana that he purchased from a dispensary. We chronicle the trials and tribulations he went through when we come back.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa." Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215. Or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
I'm Sub Cool from Team Green Avenger. At TGAgenetics.com, we are working on the leading edge of medical strains. Our strains are rigorously tested for THC, CBD, THCV, and other critical cannabinoids. Know your grow. Check out our genetic diversity at TGAgenetics.com, the home of Jelly Bean, Jack the Ripper, Vortex, and other award-winning cannabis strains.
All right, time for us to go behind the headlines here, 13 after the hour. And this story coming out of Seattle, a very interesting story, and to me it just highlights the absurdity that we continue to maintain between whether or not someone's healthy enough to put in a cage for marijuana or they are sick enough that they deserve a special treatment, and that we have two different systems now in Washington and Colorado that treat marijuana users differently, whether they're sick or not. And it's just kind of silly. And I think it's one of those stages that marijuana is going to have to go through. But this story, I think, highlights some of the tragedy and some of the absurdity that creates in this situation. So let me give you a look at this from KOMO News, KOMO News in Seattle. And it's the story of a man named Michael Van Ditto. He's a card-carrying medical marijuana patient, and he's got his recommendation from some emotional pain he's suffering. His son died in a plane accident, and so he'd been smoking marijuana. But he stopped smoking, according to the story here, about a year ago because he got very sick, and he thought that the sickness might have come upon from a fungus that was in the marijuana that he got from a collective called North Seattle Medical Collective, a brand new dispensary that he had just switched over to use. And he said his doctor couldn't identify the illness, but the symptoms he had were similar to a fungal pneumonia. So according to the KOMO News story, Van Ditto considered the medical pot he bought a health hazard. and he wanted it tested by the authorities. But he quickly realized a predicament facing all medical marijuana users. There's no public agency he could turn to for help because he allegedly got sick using an illegal drug. And this just highlights again, as long as marijuana is illegal, we're going to have these situations where people are going to get hurt because of the prohibition. And this is one of them. So this guy goes to KOMO News's Problem Solvers. And you probably have something like this in your local news, where they, somebody gets cheated or defrauded and they call the local action news team and they get on the spot and they film the guys and they embarrass them or whatever, right? So they call the Problem Solvers. That's what this particular group is called at KOMO News. So the Problem Solvers asked the Washington State Department of Health to test the marijuana. The Department of Health is charged with, you guessed it, protecting state residents from health hazards, right? But the agency refused to test the marijuana for fungus. Don Moyer, a spokesman for the department, said, quote, "The Department of Health has no authority to inspect or check quality of marijuana," end quote. Now, they spoke to Doug Hyatt for this story as well, the well-known Seattle lawyer who's helped patients forever. And, he points out, well, it's federal Schedule I drug. It's illegal. These people at the Department of Health can't get involved with touching that drug lest they be conspiring to violate federal law. So that prevents the Department of Health from helping sick people maintain their health in a state where medical marijuana is legal, yet it's still on Schedule I, so they can't do anything about it. It's legal for you to use medical marijuana, but we can't make sure that it's safe for you. So they went another route. The Problem Solvers then went to the Washington State Liquor Control Board. Now, Washington just passed I-502. And in I-502, it legalized possession of marijuana, possession and use of marijuana for any adult 21 and over. And it gave the Liquor Control Board all sorts of authority to regulate marijuana, including the production of it and testing it for potency and quality and, making sure there's no molds or funguses or anything like that, right? However, according to Pat Kohler, the administrative director for the Washington State Liquor Control Board, quote, "We're supposed to set quality standards, making sure consumer safety is involved in this," end quote. But he continues to admit that there's no protections the state can offer for medical marijuana users, many of whom are sick and may need the medicinal effects of marijuana the most. Quote, "The state has no responsibility in the regulatory functions of medical marijuana, and Initiative 502 doesn't impact medical marijuana either," end quote. So now we are actually going to have a situation in Washington State where recreational pot has to be tested and inspected, made sure there's no mold, has to live up to certain quality standards established by the state government regulatory board that controls liquor. But patients who need medical marijuana can't get the Department of Health to do the same thing. How absurd can this get? So they go on and they take it to Analytical 360, a lab in Seattle. And John Brown, the chief technical officer for the lab, tested it and said it was in the acceptable range of fungus for therapeutic. It was exceeding the acceptable range of fungus for therapeutic marijuana, but in the acceptable range for recreational standards. Who knew there was an acceptable range of fungus in recreational marijuana? But that aside, they go to the North Seattle Medical Collective to get a spokesperson to say, hey, look, we tested your marijuana. It had too much fungus in it for sick people with compromised immune systems, right? So they spoke to the spokesperson, Lisa Dank, who said, quote, "We inspect all the product. It seemed okay to us and we smoked it. Obviously, we try everything." Dank said all of the product the collective sees from its growers undergo testing for fungus and mold using an ultraviolet light. Quote, "If there's anything that's moldy, it would show up green," end quote, she said. Okay, so she also continues to defend it, saying buying marijuana is like buying fresh blueberries from a farmer's market. Quote, "You're going to find a few bad berries because that's what happens with plants. Marijuana is the same way," end quote. Yeah, but see, blueberries are eaten usually by healthy people, and they're not inhaled as a medicine by sick people. And so they're not like blueberries, Lisa Dank. and passing your bud underneath a light and you smoking it is your high level of scientific integrity for testing whether or not a medicine is quality enough to go into sick people's bodies. This is why we've got to legalize it, people, for everyone. It's just insane that we would treat patients that way. And insane that these collective owners, think that they're doing somebody a favor. Oh, I put it under a light. It's got to be okay.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Great. Drugs make me strong. Drugs make me smart. Drugs make me feel good. Drugs make me cool. You believe that crap? Huh? You believe all that stuff they're handing you about drugs? You want to believe in something? How about yourself? Don't do drugs.
Fun. Big Daddy thinks. Ooh, yeah.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Rockin' Friday, featuring rock, metal, and the hard edge of alternative country. You can get downloads and more information about all our Daily Toker Tunes by visiting music.radicalruss.com. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tunes.
All right, people, turn it up to 11 because Herb Thrasher's on the line. He's made of metal and marijuana, and he ain't got time to mess around. Hey, Herb, what's up?
All right, man. Just another beautiful week in Portland, Oregon, and that's right, folks. Turn it up. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, we got a great Herb Thrasher Flower Hour coming up tonight with a very special guest.
Yeah, I'm very excited. From one of Russ's favorite states, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Reverencing the Green Bay Packers there. We got a band. These dudes are badass, man. I heard their album a couple weeks ago, and I listened to it all day and decided that these guys were definitely should be on the show. So I contacted them, and they just rock. But it's Romero, and as I said, these guys are out of Wisconsin, and I look forward to talking with them tonight about their brand new album and all the good stuff that they've got going.
Right on, yeah. We're going to have, is it Jeff who's going to be on the show?
That's right. So Jeff from Romero. So, yeah, I'll just go ahead and go into their information. And you guys join us tonight, Herb Thrasher Flower Hour at 8 p.m., and we'll have these guys that I'm about to discuss with you. And then we'll also have some other tunes. We're going to go a little heavy tonight. And a lot of news going on with Lamb of God. And there's box sets out there, and there's concerts. So we're just going to regroup and talk all that stuff, and we have sports at 9 o'clock, so you guys join us.
Oh, yeah.
And back to our guest tonight, man, we have Jeff from Romero. These guys are out of Wisconsin, and they're just badass, man. A lot of kind of stoner rock, very doom. There's definitely metal sounds to them, some sludge, and they mix it all in they have long compromise songs and just badass stuff. And the album released on the 29th of January, and they actually released it for free. And so you guys can go out there and download this album for free, or you can, donate a certain price to them, what you think it's worth. I recommend $4.20 if you guys download the album, but it's freaking awesome. It's well worth it. And you can go to romero.bandcamp.com and just type in take the potion. And you guys will find it. And if not, email me or Russ or somebody. Join us tonight. We'll definitely be discussing this album. Some of the band's interest is incense and hand-blown glass, blacklight posters. So they're cool dudes. Shared the stage with The Sword, Weed Eater, Black Label Society, and Clutch. So Romero spreads like a weed, guys. So turn it up, join us tonight, and let's rock some Romero and check these guys out.
All right.
Find out what the potion is tonight.
Here
All
we
right,
go.
rock on.
March issue of High Times magazine is here, just in time for playoff season in the National Football League. But did you know that NFL players who use pot receive the toughest penalties in sport? In our March 2013 issue, High Times investigates the NFL's wrong-headed policies and examines how pot can help athletes off the field. We also tee up an outstanding profile of one of the world's greatest strains with the haze craze. Senior cultivation editor Danny Danko weighs in on the origins of this outstanding sativa. And editorial director Dan Skye takes a high-minded look at the outdoor harvest of 2012. Growers are getting higher prices for their product and strains are better than ever. Plus, we'll take you inside of one of the most unique gardens you'll ever see, a state-of-the-art underground bunker that allows growers to create the perfect environment for pot. Also in this issue, Saturday Night Live's Jason Sudeikis drops by to talk about his new film, Movie 43. And guess what? Jason likes pot. Plus, we cover the most important story of the year. Pot is legal in Colorado and Washington. Pick up the March issue of High Times Magazine for the very best marijuana coverage on the planet. Be part of the growing cannabis community. On newsstands now.
Georgia. Hi, this is Willie Nelson, and I need your help. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 20s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stop arresting law-abiding citizens because they prefer marijuana over alcohol. Nearly 2,000 Americans are arrested every day on marijuana charges. We're unfairly destroying the lives and careers of hundreds of thousands of people each year simply because they smoke marijuana. These are not criminals. They're average citizens like you, good neighbors who work hard, raise families, pay taxes, and contribute to their communities. We need your help to end marijuana prohibition once and for all. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
Let's get the session started because it's 420.
Since 1974, High Times Magazine has been the chronicle of the cannabis community. The Russ Belville Show visits with West Coast editor Dave Bienenstock for a look forward to the next issue and the next marijuana events in our High Times preview. Yo!
All right, welcome back, everybody. 31 after the hour, and unfortunately, Dave Bienenstock can't be with us today because they are scrambling to put this thing together with the sudden change. If you haven't seen hightimes.com to get this latest update, they've had a change in venue. This was posted at 10:27 a.m. New location. The High Times Medical Cannabis Cup in Los Angeles has a new location. Our event will not be held at the LA Center Studios in Los Angeles. Due to unforeseen permit difficulties, the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup will be now held at the Glendale Studios in Glendale, California. Nothing else has changed. We're thrilled with the Glendale Studios. It's located just 10 minutes away from the old location. It's spacious, comfortable, and private. Plus, Glendale Studios is proud to host the Southern California cannabis community. We're making sure that your experience at the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup will be outstanding in every way. The Game and Redman are on tap for our Saturday night concert, and stoner comedy legend Tommy Chong receives his Lifetime Achievement Award at the Cannabis Cup Awards ceremony. It's at 1239 South Glendale in Glendale, California. You can visit medcancup.com for the map. They've got it all plugged into Google and everything for you, so check that out. And we will be there with 420 Radio during the day on the expo floor. We will bring you live, free streaming coverage right here at 420radio.org. And then at night, when the concert happens Saturday night with The Game and Redman, we'll go to the VIP forums and provide you a streaming window just for you VIPs out there. So if you're not a VIP and you want to see that concert, you better get a VIP membership. It's only as $420 a month to help support us here at 420 Radio. Just go to our 420radio.org page and check Join Us for a VIP membership. We'll be bringing you that concert on Saturday night, and then on Sunday night, we'll bring you the High Times Medical Cannabis Cups Awards, and we'll be backstage with Tommy Chong and all of the winners with interviews and highlights. So check that out. Again, that's just for the VIPs, so you want to get your VIP membership as soon as you can. All right, so for this segment, instead of speaking with Dave and talking about the High Times, we'll just give you some new videos from High Times TV. They've been so gracious in donating a lot of their material to us. We've got, if you remember you remember J-Love. J-Love, it's a J. That was a video they called Worst Dealer Ever. Now, don't worry. J-Love's not coming up. We are going to play the sequels to J-Love. They don't feature J-Love. Don't worry. This is, they're going to be Worst Dealer Ever Part 2 and Part 3. And then we'll wind that up with some Cannabis Cup highlights from Amsterdam before we make our way to the Radical Rant. So enjoy these from High Times TV.
Greetings, stoners. This is Senior Editor Bobby Black coming to you live from the High Times 25th Anniversary Cannabis Cup here in Amsterdam, Holland. And right now we're going to go check out some of the vendors here at the expo and see what they think about the trip so far. Let's go. We are here at the DNA Genetics booth. We're checking out their entry for Best Glass. This is the MF Doom Borch, entered by Hitman and DNA. We are here with Luke from Paradise Seeds. How's it going, Luke?
Excellent.
It's 420 right now, in case you guys didn't know. And you guys are doing some big giveaways, right?
Yeah, Red Bull Bingo. We are going to give away big prizes.
I'm here with my boy Swerve from Cali Connection. What's up, man?
It's the 25th anniversary. It's like, I mean, this is a pinnacle moment, right? It's history in the making, happening now.
It is my distinct pleasure to be here with Holland's Queen of Hash, Mila herself. How are you, Mila?
Very well indeed.
What's your impression of the cup this year?
I like the venue very much. I feel more at home in a place like this than where we were last year.
All right, we are here in line to vote at the Cannabis Cup. I'm here with Lars from Roars Seeds Amsterdam. So this is really cool. It's got like kind of a skull theme to it with fangs. It almost looks like biomechanical. Do you think that this artist is influenced by like H.R. Giger or anything like that?
He's totally influenced by him.
We're relaxing here at the Serious Seeds booth with Thomas. How's it going?
It's really going real well today. I look forward to it for weeks because it has such a peaceful and bringing together of the people vibe. It's people from all over the world come to here and enjoy this liberal thought and that liberal feeling. Then it's special vibe is in the air and all the people are happy to enjoy and to share their weed, and we enjoy this as well.
So Kevin, you are the inventor of the puck pipe, is that correct?
I am, it is correct.
All right, well, why don't you give us a little demo of how this thing works? It looks pretty cool.
I'll show you. This is simply 2 pieces of Pyrex glass bound by the magnets. You open them up, 6 bowls, it's airtight. When you're ready to smoke, you rotate this over, fire goes here.
This is one of our entries this year to the Cannabis Cup for our seed company. It's the Sage and Sour, which is the front cover, and it's one of the top 10 strains of 2012.
This is Soji Kush, which is my newest strain. You got the Kush smell, the Kush taste, and the yield that everybody was looking for.
No, the cup's been very active, so a lot of people coming and going. We really had a good time here.
The official 25th annual Cannabis Cup hat.
Secret stash pocket still. And this one we did kind of an Amsterdam theme with their flag, but made it 25 for the 25th Cup.
All right, here we are. 25th Cup with Steve Hager. Steve, tell us how'd it go? Congratulations. Thank you.
I don't know. I could try for a long time, but I could never find the words to express the joy that I felt throughout this entire event.
I'm standing here with the winners of the Cannabis Cup for Best Hybrid from Loud Seeds. Guys, have you ever won a Cannabis Cup before?
This is number 1, man. This is our first cup. It's unreal. It's great. It feels great.
Some big winners of the night. We have DNA Genetics Reserva Privado. What's up, guys?
How's it going? Killing it. We won Indica with the Kosher tonight, and then we also won the Concentrate Cup with Wheezy Dabs. And we also took second with Elemental Seeds Reserva Privado with the True OG.
Big winners of the night, Ariane of the Greenhouse and Franco of Strain Hunters, Greenhouse Seeds. Guys, it's been a great night for you. Tell us what you won.
We won the Import Hash Cup, we won the Nader Hash Cup, and the last but not least, the Cannabis Cup overall with the Flower Bomb Kush, a new variety. And yeah, it's a triple Golden Grand Slam for us, so we're really, really happy we won. We're humble and proud to get those prizes, and thanks to all our friends over the world.
It's also a very important moment for cannabis legalization worldwide. It's a turning point in history. We might not perceive it that way right now, but in 100 years from now, they look at this time as the changing point. And we are proud to celebrate this way with 3 cups at the 25th High Times Cannabis Cup in Amsterdam.
Who is it? Oh, what up, man? Come in. Oh, you brought a buddy this time. You brought a friend. He's alright? He's a good guy? You're not a cop, are you? Seriously, though.
I got swords. Yo, what was your name again? Mark, right? Can you prove it? Can I see some ID? Nah, I'm just messing with you, man. That's funny, right? No, but seriously though, can I like check it out? See that car over there? What's that car doing there? Is that your car? How'd you get here? Think it's my ex-girlfriend? Probably not. You guys want to watch a DVD real quick? Check this out. Raw footage from Roswell. Bill Clinton killed a bunch of people. Have you seen Monica Lewinsky lately? They got these reptile creatures and shit, and they come over here and they rape us. Crop circles, cut in the shapes of cannabis leaves. Aliens killed JFK. I got this tomahawk on eBay. It's from the Patriot. Did you hear that? Is that a siren? Oh, I left it in the bathroom over there, under the sink. Who is this guy? You're not a cop. He's not a cop, is he? You don't even look like you even got a cop face. You see this? See that mark there? Is that what a marked bill is? You see that car is still over there? Mark, you want to hit? What about your friend here? You want to hit? You want just one hit? What are you guys? Are you guys narcs? You know, this blade is used in determining truth here. Are you sure you're not a cop? This fucking car's freaking me out, man. Just take it. Just take it! No, I'm kidding. One hit. Please. Take the fucking hit! You're not my brother! You're not my brother! Car watching me? You think somebody's in that car watching me?
Who are you? Did you call me? You called, right? Come on in. Come on in. Hey, what the hell out of here?
Sit down. No, you gotta sit down. I like to get to know the people who buy from me, man. We gotta get to know each other, you know? You gotta connect. Oh, you wanted a quarter, right? I put it aside for you. What did I do with it? It'll turn up. I got this. This is some Vietnam Kush. I got the seeds when I was in Vietnam. It's Bermuda Triangle, Guantanamo Bay. It's Australian bud, platypus. Outstanding. It's got like the same chromosomes. The chromosomes, man. What kind of music you like? Jefferson Airplane? Who? Jethro Tull. The cat's got my pot again, man. Dude, get out of here, yo. Led Zepp, Country Joe and the Fish. Janis, Hendrix. I saw Iron Butterfly in '68. Gotta Vida, baby. The convention, the riots, Chicago in '68. I got drafted right after that. You wanted pot, right? A quarter, is that right? And I'll tell you, Vietnam. I didn't go to Nam. I was stationed in New Jersey. Good baby. We cared, man. We really cared. And I don't think your generation cares like we care. I don't know what I did with that quarter, man. Oh my God. This is like 300 hits of acid, man. You want some? Change your life. My cat licked this last week. He's really smart now, man. Want a cookie? I just made these good cookies. Put a quarter aside for you, man, and I lost it. I don't know where I looked all over for it. I can make you another quarter. So I don't have all those strains I mentioned before, but I got these strains. You want a quarter? I can make you a quarter, but you're going to have to pay for the quarter I lost, man, because I put that aside for you, and, I looked all over for it. That's my time when I look for it. You were going to buy it anyway, so I'm going to make you this quarter, and then you got to pay me for 2 quarters. It's not a problem, is it? Amazing. Hey, dude. Those cookies kicking yet? Dude, you okay? You alright? You alright? You alright?
Oh, yeah. Thanks to our friends at High Times Magazine for all those videos. Worst dealers ever. You can check them out at High Times Presents on YouTube. All right, we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we will be bringing you a radical rant, the case for corporate weed. This will be an interesting one. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show. It's 420radio.org. We're headed to LA. We'll see you there.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Legalize it. Don't criticize.
I'm just overjoyed. I've been cannabis activist for 40 years.
We're turning the corner on a failed policy that's been disastrous for our communities, and things are going to get better.
80 years ago, we repealed alcohol prohibition in this state. We did it prior to the federal government, and we're doing the same thing when it comes to marijuana. We are a step ahead, and we will continue to lead the way. It means I'm going to smoke a lot of weed tonight. Woo!
Some call it marijuana.
You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show.
Some of them call it ganja. Never mind.
You want answers? I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical rant. All right, for the rant for today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the concept of corporate weed, McDonald's weed, the Walmart of weed, however you want to phrase it. And first, I want to start with the Project Sam type people, the Patrick Kennedys out there, because this is one of their main pillars. They got 4 pillars of their Project Sam. And by the way, stay tuned for Hour 2, Toker Talk Radio. I got an update on the Project Sam people. They apparently wrote a letter to Eric Holder, our Attorney General, saying, please, please, please bust the potheads. So we'll talk about that in Hour 2. But one of their main pillars is this threat that there will be a big marijuana, that it'll be like big tobacco. If we legalize marijuana, well, then it's a legal product. As a legal product, they can sell it and they can advertise it. And we got a strong First Amendment in America, and they'll be able to advertise marijuana. And of course, like big tobacco, they'll target our kids. They'll want the kids to become early pot smokers because they know 1 out of 6 kids who try it get addicted versus 1 out of 11 who get addicted when they're adults. If we have to wait till they're adults before they smoke, well, we'll have less profits. Ooh, big marijuana is on its way, and it'll be just like big tobacco. Well, I want to talk a little bit about big marijuana because big marijuana is not on its way. Big marijuana is here. Big marijuana already exists. Except instead of settling its disputes with lawyers and courts, it settles its disputes with plata o plomo, with a bribe or a bullet. Big marijuana exists, it's just outsourced to Mexico at the moment. It currently kills and maims and slaughters and murders people in the streets and terrorizes a population and has the entire police forces of places like Juarez having to check into a well-guarded hotel because of the threats and the terrorism against their lives. Big marijuana is already here. Big marijuana is already controlling the drug trade in over 300 American cities right now. And big marijuana is a part of that. Big marijuana right now has successfully managed to get its product being sold in our American high schools and junior high schools by a volunteer force of teenagers willing to make a high profit for a low risk. 91% of our kids say they know someone in their school who sells marijuana. 1% of our kids in our schools say they know someone who sells alcohol. And a large part of that reason is the profitability in selling either of those. It's also a lot to do with keeping the alcohol behind lock and key in adult, places where adults can get it, where they're carded, etc. That has a lot to do with it as well. But certainly kids could steal beers from their parents' fridge and sell those. Why isn't that happening? There's just not the profit potential there. If marijuana is available through big marijuana, the corporate marijuana, the Walmart of weed, and adults who want to smoke a joint can go buy a pack of pre-rolled joints that are pretty decent for $10, then that's a good thing. Then we take away the profit potential. We put the marijuana behind lock and key, like we did with tobacco. Remember, tobacco used to just be on the shelves where kids could grab it if they wanted to shoplift some. Not anymore. It's behind the clerk, no matter what store you go to, oftentimes behind a little plexiglass lock and key counter. And we strictly card the kids for their tobacco purchases. And we've managed to get smoking, something that addicts 1 out of 3 kids who try it. Not 1 out of 6 like marijuana is claimed, and we'll get to that. But 1 out of 3. And they go on to die from this. This is a highly addictive product available at age 18. And yet, despite big tobacco marketing a legal product, we've somehow managed to get the use rates way down, from 70% when I was a kid to 40% now. We've managed to get big tobacco's marketing off the airwaves almost entirely. Seen Joe Camel lately? Not since 1998 you haven't. Neither have you seen the Winston Cup, because there is no more Winston Cup. We no longer have cigarette companies advertising in our magazines and sponsoring our race car sprint cups and marketing with, scrotal visaged camels. It just doesn't happen anymore. So when I hear this scare story from the Project Sam people of how big marijuana will become big tobacco, I think, number one, whatever big marijuana is, it'll be a lot better than what big marijuana is now. It won't be guys dissolving their opponents in acid and chainsawing off the heads of their rivals. Whatever big marijuana becomes will be corporate in America paying taxes. Well, that's another rant. But at least we'll be trying to get them to pay taxes. They'll be creating jobs. They'll be subject to regulation and inspection. I'm not afraid of big marijuana. I look forward to corporate weed. Now, the other side of this argument comes from our own side, the side that would defend the small growers and say it needs to be a cottage industry. It needs to be kept a cottage industry. We need to not allow corporations to come in and Monsantoize it or Marlboroize it. And to that side, I have some degree of sympathy. I always want there to be home growers. I always want there to be small boutique buds. I want there to be a lot of variety and a lot of different growers out there trying to get new strains. However, I balk a little bit at an artificial constraint on larger sized businesses producing marijuana. The nature of marijuana as a crop is not something that is going to be consistent plant after plant after plant after plant. Marijuana plants tend to have their own, I've talked to a lot of growers who tell me that, you have 3, 4, 5 plants of the same clone, of the same strain, under the same lights and the same conditions, and 2 of them will do real well and 3 of them will be okay, right? There's a lot of difference between that. And so there's never going to be a lack for that homegrown, home-tended, home-trimmed bud. There's going to be always a market of connoisseurs who are going to want that quality, that level of care in the breeding and everything involved there, the drying, everything, the curing. They're going to want that level of homegrown bud. But let's not artificially restrict somebody from farming a lot of it outdoors and having some good bud and some okay bud mixed all together and ground up and put into joints and sold at a reasonable price. There's also a market there for the okay weed. Why not also let that market exist? Because there are a lot of benefits that we could obtain if we take a part in the corporatization of this weed. I think there's a natural reticence from a lot of people on our side of the community, from being outlaws for so long and fearing the man and fearing authority, to not want to be a part of a board or a commission or a committee or anything like that. And I really hope it's that viewpoint changes and that people recognize when they're talking about a $2 billion industry in Washington state and start multiplying that times all the other states, that they will be the ones who will want to get involved with this and provide the leadership and guidance to prevent it from becoming a big tobacco analog. If it's going to become corporate, and let's face it, it will. It's a commodity in America. It will. If it's going to become corporate, let's make it our corporate. Let's make it our kind of vision on this thing. Let's make sure that we learn the lessons from the problems we did have with tobacco and start out responsibly in this corporate marijuana world. Start out by self-policing our own industry, by saying, if you want to be, certified by our industry groups, that you don't advertise to kids, that you stick up with these kind of standards. That if we can show that we can make this a very profitable and job-creating industry, and do it in a responsible way that doesn't scare people off, there is so much benefit we can have from this. Because a big corporate marijuana done the right way becomes a powerful lobbying interest, becomes somebody that wants to expand the legality of that so that more people can be a part of it. The scare that Kevin Sabet and Patrick Kennedy and these guys have about marijuana in Washington and Colorado isn't the danger that could come of it. It's the lack of danger that's going to come of it. And it's going to be industry people in Colorado and Washington looking to expand their market, not by selling to kids, but by changing the laws in Wyoming and Oregon and California and other states all across the country. That's how the market expands. Who's going to want to risk the ill will of the public when we've just barely gotten this thing legalized by blatantly marketing to kids, when there's a much better route for expanding market amongst adults just by legalizing it in California, legalizing it in Oregon? And unlike prior years where we try to legalize and the only pools of money are three big oceans of billionaires, there's going to be a whole lot of lakes of millionaires generated from Washington and Colorado's legalization. And that kind of money pooled together from many sources builds a big groundswell of opinion and it builds a big political machine that can get these laws changed. So don't fear corporate marijuana. Steer corporate marijuana. Let's be a part of this at the ground floor. Let's make it our power base. Don't let them confuse us and muddle this by using our natural fear of authority to prevent us from being the authorities on this. This can be our industry, but not if we continue to, reject any sort of regulation or try to, scream about, corporate this or corporate that. No, we need to understand how the game is played and understand that in an America where we don't manufacture a whole lot anymore, it's our game to win and it's our game to lose. We've got one of the few growth industries in this economy waiting to take off, and it can be ours to benefit from. Let's just learn the lessons that we've learned from big tobacco, learn the lessons we've learned from alcohol, and move forward with this. And the next 10, 15 years, the world's going to be a completely different place. Will marijuana use go up? Yeah, probably. And alcohol use will go down, and Tylenol use will go down, and Ambien use will go down, and Prozac use will go down. We'll have hemp seed food for the people. We'll have hempcrete buildings. It's going to be a beautiful world, let me tell you. Hey, that's all the time we got here in Hour 1. Stick with us for Toker Talk Radio. We're going to tell you the latest developments on Project Samuel, smart approaches to marijuana use except legalization. Now they're taken up to writing letters to the government and everything. We'll debunk what they've got to say. Also, we'll take your calls at 971-533-7111. For Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. Have yourselves a great weekend. And until next time, Take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it.